the child originated. The verb usage of the term simply means to be and to function as the developer of that child that you've brought forth. So we made a clear distinction between the noun usage, meaning the one who is responsible for the child being in the earth, and the verb usage, meaning the parent who is functioning as the one developing the character, developing those usable attributes of the child. Now, the noun or the verb usage of parent comes in a variety of packages. It can be from excellent to poor. Today, let's talk about some basics of parenting, and hopefully it will be the motivator that every parent needs to make sure that whether you are the noun or the verb usage of the term, you are the best that you can be. When we look at parenting as a vocation, according to Ken Canfield, who is the author of 7 Effective Secrets of Parenting, he really focuses on fathers, and he drives home the fact that fathers must strive to contribute in a meaningful manner to the development of ensuring a well-rounded child. And again, I emphasize that Ken Canfield focuses on the father. And there are 7 things that he emphasizes are absolutely necessary to come from fathers. Number 1, commitment. Commitment to the relationship, commitment to the development of the child. Number 2, knowing your child. Every child is unique. Every child has a different set of fingerprints. Every child has different emotions, different temperaments. So to know the uniqueness of a child is absolutely essential in proper parenting. Number 3, Ken Canfield talks about consistency. It can't be I'm involved today, I'm engaged today, but I'm nowhere to be found for the next 6 days. Number 4, Ken Canfield talks about protecting and providing. The child, as it is developing, must be protected. The child, as it is developing, must be provided for. It is not the responsibility of a developing child to provide food, clothing, shelter, security, peace of mind, consolation to himself or to herself. Number 6, you must, as a parent, be an active listener in the child's development. You've got to listen to those verbal and nonverbal cues coming from the child. Many parents struggle with giving children their undivided attention. But active listening means not just being present physically, but also present emotionally in the development of the child. And then number 7, parents, especially fathers, are responsible for the spiritual equipping of the child. If the child's father is not connected to God spiritually, there's a high likelihood that the child is going to struggle connecting to God spiritually, because many times we view our relationships with God through the eyes of our fathers. And if that is somewhat of a questionable relationship, then it will be very difficult for a developing child to understand the real need of spiritual directions of substance in their lives. Everyone who parents must decide to parent. No one can make you parent. You can go to court, you can have papers, you can have orders, you can have mandates, but until a parent make up his or her mind to parent, the decision has to come from the individual who begot the child. The noun person, the person who is the father, the person who is the mother, has to make up his or her mind that they will become the verb parent, the participant in the development, the participant in the direction that the child will go. In the New Testament book of Philippians chapter 4, verse number 13, Paul writes, "But I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me." When we talk about one phrase in that verse, I can bear children. I mean, you are a parent now. But can you model for the child? Yes, you can, but it's a decision that must be made. Are you able to provide for the children? Yes, you are. If you make that decision that you're going to be the provider for your children. Are you capable of loving your child? Yes, you are. If the decision is made to be a loving parent toward your child. So in the book of Philippians chapter 4, verse number 13, Paul says, I can do all things. But it has to come through Christ, because it takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of commitment, it takes a lot of self-sacrifice to be a parent. It took energy, it took commitment for you to bear the child. If you're the mother, it took you 9 months to bear the child. The father, it took some type connectivity between the mother and the father for the child to come into an impregnated state. So when people make up their mind, at whatever level they make up their mind, indeed they can. But the decision to parent must come from inside the individual. In Ken Canfield's book, 7 Effective Methods of Parenting, he actually uses the phrase, I can. But remember, I've already shared with you from Philippians chapter 4, verse number 13, how the Apostle Paul utilized the phrase. But Ken Canfield says, I can and you can. So let's take those 4 letters, I-C-A-N. And he says, every parent has the capacity to say, I can. I can be involved. Every parent must make a choice of involvement in their children's life. I can be involved in the education of my child. I can be involved in the extracurricular activities of my child. I can be involved in the developmental portions of raising my child. Secondly, he says, I can be committed. If I make the decision to be committed to developing my child, I can do that. I can be available. It may mean I have to go in early. It may mean taking a shorter lunch break, but I need to be at the school. It may mean instead of me going bowling or going to the football game at a professional level, I'm going to forego that, and I'm going to go to the Pee-wee football game. I'm going to go to the Pee-wee baseball game. And I'm going to go to those events that requires the commitment of a parent toward a child. And then he says, I can be nurturing.